the reality is that you become an expert by doing this enough times. And after a while, you don't even have to pull it up.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I ran into the situation 15 times already.
Yeah.
I know that they should be able to qualify in spite of having this. So that's fine. Or I know this is an automatic knockout. Like, you don't need to pull it up after a while of doing it. But in the initial stages, just learn how to become resourceful. Either reach out to somebody or learn how to use the resources that are available to everyone.
So welcome to the Agent Q&A. You got your host here, John. We got Joanne. We got Albert in the house. So first off, anybody that want to share any questions that you guys may have from what you've seen or what's happening in the business for you guys, as far as product knowledge, contracting, experiences, go ahead and feel free to share.
I have, I've been doing policies for little kids, the income advantage with Mutual of Omaha.
Okay.
And I'm finding that they're asking the parents to have double the amount. Like,
yes.
if I'm writing a policy for $100,000 for a baby, they want the parents to have $200,000 each parent. Right. So I didn't know that. And then I wrote one with a grandma, and the grandmother had the most insurance, and the child wanted $100,000 as well. So they really give you a hard time on getting these child policies. And then I thought to myself, wonder why? Like, people killing their kids for insurance.
If you guys enjoy, I'm saying it too many times.
Thanks for joining us so far. That's all I remember.
We can continue to share with other people. We probably need to redo it, right? Hey guys, thanks for joining us. If you guys have found this stuff helpful up to this point, or you guys would like to see some other stuff,
please like and subscribe and create a comment so we can cover that next topic.
And continue watching the show.
Yeah, it's a regulation. It's actually not just Mutual of Omaha. It's most IULs, and most companies have that policy, whether it's an IUL or a whole life. One, they want to double check, why does the kid have more insurance on the parent? And if the grandparent is the one buying, what's the insurable loss of the grandparent in case that kid passes away? One of my agents, actually, he prefers using FNG for the simpler process of things. But yeah, so the grandma was the one that has multiple policies with the agent, and then he sold the policy for the grandkid paid by the grandma. And so they asked the question of, where's the parents involved? What is the financial loss of the grandparent in case the kid passes away? So we just have to ask or added a couple of things to it. So we mentioned, okay, well, the grandma babysits, and the kid lives within the grandma 2-3 days out of the week, and then I had the agent put down the parent versus the grandparent. The grandparent is more financially responsible at this point, or has more financial capital in case someone passes away. She will be financially responsible for a funeral for him. And then you add on, okay, it's not for the death, we're building on for the IUL. But usually you'll need parent signatures, double the coverage. Yes. But they don't ask too many times where or what it is. So you can add an accidental coverage, which is a double add-on for you. So you can sell them a Mutual of Omaha accidental policy, $200,000 covers it. And then you can even mention they have it at work as well.
Yeah, because I find that people are more apt to go for those policies than the child policies that are $50,000 that's not going to yield anything. So of course the IUL is a better fit. Right. So in doing that, I had to, do the longer form. So you're saying FNG is easier. In what way is FNG easier?
Application wise, illustration wise. It's all in one-stop shop compared to needing to do a WinFlex Web with Mutual of Omaha.
Yes.
And then also compensation-wise.
It's more?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That part really resonated with Linda.
John should have started off with that, right?
Okay, I will call in because, again, this coming up semester, January, I'll be going into the school. So I'm trying to really get it together to where I know what questions to ask of the parents with the kids. We're going to do like a week-long session teaching. So if F&G is easier, then that would be the better route.
Right.
Well, can I just touch on one thing that you brought up? So you said most parents want F and G because, or they want an IUL because it has more to offer than the children's whole life for the 50,000, right? So the thing is, it really isn't that case. I mean, it really depends on what the client's affordability is, if they're able to actually overfund the policy. Because if they're not, they're just kind of paying the minimum anyway. It's almost the same. It still has a little bit of cash value. It's not really going to be a major component of the value of having that policy. But I mean, look, I mean, for you, you're all about the cash value accumulation. You're all about the future value of having this policy because you see the value in it. However, that may not be the case for every client that we see, because some of them, they just want to have some coverage just in place. And then this way you can kind of avoid those situations if they don't have more than double. The parents each don't have more than double. So
yeah, exactly.
Something to consider.
I do have 2 grandchildren, and I have those $50,000 policies that I don't really overfund at this time, but I plan on it. Yeah. And I like the fact that it is whole life and it can be rolled over. Right. However, yes, most people that I know, my warm market, they know me for a financial person. So I feel like I can convince them that a Gerber policy at $62 for 50,000 and then it rolls over and doubles to the 100,000 is good per se, but they want to see that 18 years of paying will get them more cash value. And so once I called in to Gerber, they confirmed that the cash value would not equate to what an IUL cash value would. So,
right.
But
yeah, I mean, so it really depends on the client. If for the whole life, it's at least there's a certainty to it. For an IUL, it's based off of how much you're able to overfund, how much that cash value accumulates over time with compounding interest. So there's a lot of variables in that. So if that's the clients wants to have some insurance plus they want to build a cash value, that could fit. But I mean, if the client just wants to know exactly what they're going to get, it's just to take care of the kid's death in case something unexpected happens, it's there. So
yeah. So that's what I've been seeing, and of course, a lot of people don't want to, think about their baby passing away from the 1 to 18 years, but they do look at the cash value in that policy, and the amount that they're paying will now build up a lot of cash value, as you said. So I had to explain to one of the parents that you're paying $62 for 50,000 for 18 years, and you still won't get 40,000. And in 18 years, once you do the math, that's 48,000 with the 60 something dollar payments. And so once we called in, she's like, that doesn't make sense that I don't get, but I mean, less than $1,000 after paying 18 years. I said, yeah, it's more like the security of knowing that you have insurance set up. So if something happens to that child, then you're covered for 50,000. The child doesn't get that, of course, so she didn't like that per se. So I'm like, well, that's what it is. And I don't know who sold you the policy, or if they knew that the cash accumulation would not be enough for you to do anything towards 18-year-old going to college or needing gas or needing whatever. And so once I explained that $60, once you save that, then that amount will accumulate to about 40,000. Then I also told her that Mutual of Omaha has that same policy that is $19 to $20 that she can be paying for 18 years if she just wants something to protect that kid. And then, of course, overfunding it should she have extra for that. So
yeah,
anyway,
that's why we got different products for different situations. So we'll touch on that as being brokers for later.
Yeah. Cool. So, any other questions in the meantime before we go into our main topic? We're good. Okay, so our main topic today is talking about the different business models in the insurance industry. As you guys know, we're in a brokerage model, but how many from before we bring in our fourth guest, Chat GPT involved, how many business models can you list on the top of your head?
Can I list maybe?
Okay, well, just think of
maybe about 4 of them.
Okay, name them.
I would say like us, like
Okay, so
FFL, a broker.
Okay.
There's captive.
Okay.
Right. There's the ones that are ran like through companies.
Okay.
Right. So that's
direct agency.
Direct to consumer, yeah.
Okay. I think that's it.
That was 3, Joe. Any more you could add?
I mean, no, I mean, I know captive, direct agency, um,
What
independent
about
broker.
what about the ones where people buy out policies? Like if you have over $250,000
Settlement
in your
companies?
liquid,
Biatical settlements.
yeah, what is that called?
They're called settlement plans. So
Yeah,
it's
is
like
that
making a less. It's kind of like a reverse mortgage on life insurance.
Mm.
So those are companies, but these are the main brokerage. Types of industry business models. So there's the direct sales. That's the insurance company selling directly to the consumers. So there's no agent involved. Then there's us, number 2, but the brokerage model where we have the independent insurance brokers working with multiple insurance companies, so we can find the best policies for the clients. You got captive agents. They're only exclusively selling for one insurance company. Okay. There's actually number 4, a bank assurance, where these insurance products are sold through the banks and financial institutions, often in partnership with insurance companies. There's also those the mail, what do you call it? The mall insurance companies, right? You remember those where you go to Macy's and next thing you know, they're trying to sell you an accidental policy, typically through Stonebridge. Then there's number 5, there's the online insurance aggregators. There's online platforms that allow customers to compare and purchase insurance policies through various providers. You ever seen it if you go on Facebook, there's like the ladder and Select Quote used to be like that where you can do online as well. Number 6, there's the reinsurance. So companies specializing providing insurance to just other insurance companies to reinsure to manage the risk. Number 7, there's the group insurance. Number 8, mutual insurance. Number 9, which kind of doesn't make sense. That's similar to a captive agent. They're called tied, TIED agents, who represent one insurance company but may offer a range of its policies. And then number 10, these are the fee-based financial advisors. Financial advisors who just charge a fee and providing insurance advices and services rather than earning commissions. So there's a lot more out there in the insurance industry that we may or may not know, right? We're good at our IMO, but at the end of it all, a business model is there because it's profitable.
Right.
Would you guys agree? If
Yeah.
it's not profitable, it just gets defunct and it's extinct because no one's making money and they shut down and they go bankrupt. So how can we run a successful business model in our business, right? So I want to just, so I asked ChatGPT, expand on the brokerage model. That's us. So it gave us like a good 10, but you know, it's customer centric. You know, we have our positives on being able to pretty much shop around for the clients and finding the best solutions, right? So the main thing is we have the choice. You know, we have customization. Number 4, I think is something that we can expand on. It talks about expertise. Okay, where do you guys see that where it's lacking in our business? Sometimes, you know, an agent can just jump in, right? They're a broker now.
Yeah.
Boom, I got my license. Got these insurance carriers, got appointed with like 20, 30 different companies here with FFL. Now what? And I think this is an issue with an agent, right? The agent gets a little too flustered. How do I find the best deal for my client? What would your suggestion for a new agent on that?
Well, I mean, that happens all the time. I think agents come in just thinking product knowledge is everything. When in reality, like they want to be an expert at that. And initially they're like, I'm going to study all the products and I'm going to call my manager every day to ask like, hey, what do you do in this situation? The what if game, like,
Yeah.
what if this, what if that? Where in reality, it's like the only thing you should become an expert is finding a way to talk to enough people and getting good on the phones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because none of those skills matter if you don't talk to anybody, right? So I think, and then I know this from personal experience because my phone is blowing up throughout the day,
Right.
and like late into the evening. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I have a client that, you know, they want this much coverage. What should I show them? And I'm like, what health conditions do they have? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't ask. And I'm like, well, that's the part you should become an expert at, asking the right questions.
Right.
And just figuring out. You should become an expert in being resourceful.
Mm.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to become an expert in becoming resourceful, knowing where to go. Like we have a couple of these like grid sheets, right, for the final expense and term products. So if people, you know, they come across someone that has diabetes, someone that weighs a certain amount at a certain height,
Yeah.
You know, they have high blood pressure, you know, they take this medication, what do they qualify for? Obviously you can reach out to your upline. That's the quickest way. But if your upline is not available, unfortunately for me, I'm good at picking up my phone, but for your upline is not available, you can go on the agent resources on the Google Drive.
Okay.
You can pull up the grid sheets and you just run through. The client has this condition, which carriers would accept them. Oh, they all seem to be fine. I'm making a decision. I'm going here.
Right. Just to add to that, so for any new agent that's like confused, what is this Google Drive? Once you had your welcome email from Joanne, there's the link on your welcome email. It says Google Drive. Okay. It'll say first folder agent info. If you'll see every carrier listed in there if you want to learn more about their company. So that's how you can be resourceful. There's a folder called field materials. You double click that. It's going to find all these like grid term sheet. There's a grid for a final expense sheet, and it'll list out all these conditions and which carrier is going to be the best suited for.
Right. And if you want to get even deeper into it, like if the client takes like, let's say Ozempic, because that's the hottest thing right now.
Yeah.
If they take Ozempic, you're like, I don't know if they qualify for it. Let me take a look, and then you can go into the individual carrier that you're looking at. You're looking at potentially showing a plan with, and let's say you go to Americo. You go to Americo, go under their prescription drug guide, and then just look it up and see. It'll tell you level, guaranteed, whatever it is, decline or can accept whatever it is. Then it'll tell you there if you want to look into the specific thing. But the reality is, if you become an expert by doing this enough times, and after a while, you don't even have to pull it up.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I ran into the situation 15 times already.
Yeah.
I know that they should be able to qualify in spite of having this. So that's fine. Or I know this is an automatic knockout. Like, you don't need to pull it up after a while of doing it. But in the initial stages, just learn how to become resourceful. Either reach out to somebody or learn how to use the resources that are available to everyone.
Yeah. And when it comes down to expertise, I think the most common thing is you're thinking expertise of product. No, there's 3 processes. You got to be an expertise in your work ethic of dialing, calling, finding clients, getting in front of clients, right? Which is your dialing, buying leads, and dialing. So that's got to be the number one expertise you got to have. And then your second expertise should be your communication with the client. So that's actually a part of this where it talks about, building the trust, building the relationship, right? Because once you build the trust, you become their agent. It doesn't matter what product you're selling them because they trust you. And at the end of it all, it's just dollars or a few cents apart from each other. They're all competitive, right? As long as you plug in the right position for them and they got approved, it's a good insurance product, right? Some people buy a more expensive shoe compared to a practical shoe. Did it hurt their feet? Right? It works. So any insurance product that you sell to a client will work. If they die, it'll pay out, because most of the carriers that we work with, they're A-rated plus. So, I mean, they have good customer service. They'll pay out eventually, right? So what expertise are you at? Maybe you're missing all 3, but if you focus on the dialing, the work ethic, and learning how to communicate with people, that skill, expertise about the product knowledge will eventually catch up to you because you're dealing with so many people. But don't hold yourself back on learning before doing, because now you're not even in the game yet. You haven't started. You haven't made your first phone call.
Yeah. And most likely you're not going to run into like every single situation that you're thinking you're going to run into.
Right. You can't like theorize everything. There's so many different scenarios. I mean, I got flustered yesterday. I was dealing with the client. I mean, I knew in the back of my head he was an AIG client. He had esophageal cancer, stage 2, and he just had it last year. He was eating out of a tube. So I was like, oh man, you're losing a lot of weight then, right? Because it's just all liquid diet. He said he was like 5'5", 154. He's down to 104 pounds. Dang. So this guy is skinny, bare bones. So I said, okay, let me see. Let me check around. Let me see if there's anything better than, the AIG guaranteed issue. I had to double check with Prime Term, with Prosperity, 2-year cancer, auto decline. Checked on degraded policies. Most of the time, cancer, 2-year decline. I said, okay, well, we'll stick with AIG. But these expertise, what did I do? I went to the Google Drive, checked on the grid, found out AIG simplified issue, the SIWL, it was also declined. So double checking everything, but that took me like 3 minutes. My conversation with the client took about 25 minutes. So where's the real expertise? I have to keep him on the phone, have the conversation, and then did a little bit of underwriting. That's about it.
The real expertise is actually walking the client through the process of you doing it. Because the thing is, in a lot of situations, I've come into like really odd medical condition I've never heard of, or a prescription med I've never heard of. So then, at the meantime, I'm like, I think I know what this is, but however, give me a second. Let me pull up some underwriting guides. Let me just make sure that I can go with this product. We do have other products just in case, but this might get you a better rate. So please bear with me and please be patient. And as long as you're telling them what you're doing, rather than, I guess the reason why a lot of agents call me or text me and they're just like, oh, the client has this. What can it qualify for? I'm like, and I send them the sheet and they're like, can you just tell me what it is? So it's like in that time, like they're just trying to get the answer. They're trying to be fast.
Yeah, they're
rather than trying to be accurate, rather than trying to learn that process.
Right.
So they don't trust in themselves to like read through that chart because they're trying to speed through it. And I'm like, well, like if you're building this relationship with this client, like you're their agent.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be some difficult conversations potentially in the future. There might be problems that you got to deal with. So the thing is, let them know who you are now. Like just as long as you can walk them through the process. I mean, people like they understand.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to act like and just trying to speed it through and not really giving them the care or attention, then yeah, it's kind of like you said, people buy because they trust you. Conversely, people will not buy because they don't trust you, right?
You lost it still from the get-go. You could show them the cheapest, best plan, most coverage, but if you sounded a little sneaky, right. sometimes we do hear that, right? Like you would hear from some agents, they tell you that, I did everything. I said this, I said that. But now the client's telling me they want to kind of call the company first to verify that I work there. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. I've never had that happen. Why do they need to verify that you work there? I don't know. Well, let me tell you this. They don't trust you. You said something, you came off funny. We've heard some before that said, I'm not a scam, I'm not a scam. You repeated that multiple times on the phone call. If you're trying to build a relationship with the client, and the agent is saying, I'm not a scam, like 7 times, it kind of makes me want to question things, right?
Yeah. That was a lot of I'm not a scam. I'm not a scam. Like you throw the word scam out enough times, like they're gonna think you're a scam. They didn't initially think that.
So what was the expertise on that? Here's an expertise. How about you send them your license instead? I just want to verify, let you know you got my information. I'm licensed in your state to make sure we have our credibility. That's it. You don't need to say I'm not a scam.
Right.
When it's like whenever like we've all dealt with like people in our lives where like they try so hard to try to convince you that they're not lying.
Trust me, bro.
Like, dude, bro, I would never lie. I have no reason to lie ever. Like, I'm like everyone knows I'm super honest, and it's just like, well, I didn't think you were lying before, but now I do.
Yeah.
It's like, why did you need to emphasize that part?
Don't overcompensate.
Yeah, that's a lot of little things that it's reverse. It's like what do you call that? Addressing the pink elephant in the room. It's like you don't need to expand on that. Keep it simple on the client. But the expertise, we have the choice and the customization. We can compare and we can shop. If it's easier for you guys, there is that one tool. It's called Insurance Toolkits. You plug in the client's information, their health criteria. It listens to all these carriers for their prices. You put down 10,000, tells you all the premiums for it, and then you can exclude which carriers you don't have an affiliation with. So it'll highlight the specific ones for you. That'll be easier for you if needed.
I'm not a fan.
Nah, same. I'd rather learn, and then I could just spit it out off the top of my head.
Stick with 3 carriers, or stick with one.
Yeah,
just stick with one, and then you'll be an expert in that one, right?
Right. That's it. So I would stick Prosperity, AIG, Americo. Call it a day. You can write up 99%
because the pre-check will catch it. It'll be like, hey, this isn't qualified. Then you can pivot already.
Mm-hmm. So expanding on the brokerage model, let's expand on the lead. The profitable part into the lead system. Okay, so there's IMOs out there that are offering 0 leads. Are they successful?
IMOs that offer no leads?
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, it all comes down to marketing. So it depends if they can have quality conversations with clients that are potentially looking to buy.
Okay.
So some companies are better than others in terms of saturating their warm market and just doing the warm outreach to people they already know.
Yeah. There is an expertise in that. We met some agents that switched over, and they have a solid scripted game plan of learning how to collect referrals. They have a solid game plan of creating their own market. Since they don't have leads, they would just go to the mall. They know a script exactly verbatim of what to say, how to approach an individual, get their phone number, present to them, sell to them. Same thing with the same process of recruiting. what to say to a recruit, what to say to expand on the recruit, to have them recruit and build, right? So does the model work? Yes. What's the drawback to that?
Well, it only works for the people that are completely bought into that.
Yes.
Because the thing is, like, if you're completely bought in, you believe in the power of warm outreach, you believe in the power of relationships, and you feel comfortable and confident, selling it to your friends and family, then there's no problem with that. However, the thing is, like, people get into that business model often, and then their upline, their manager tells them, "Hey, you need to go sell all your friends and family." And then you're like, "I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like, I don't want to bother them, or I don't think they really need it." And then so the thing is, you may go and try to attempt to do it, but you're probably gonna do a terrible job at it.
Yeah.
So or if you're trying to stop people on the street corner, like we've been approached plenty of times by these no lead companies, and then there's they come up to you in the restroom, which is super weird, and they're like, "Hey man, nice shoes."
I've been approached to one at the gym. I'm like, "Yeah, I go every day, man. I don't see you here. Hey, I know you. No, you don't. Yeah. But let me hear your speech."
Or you're in the store, and then they come out like, "Hey man, you look really sharp." I'm like, "Bro, I know your picture."
I've heard this before.
Yeah, and then I'm like, "Aren't you embarrassed for yourself?" I mean, like I get it. I mean, I give them props for trying. For me personally, I'm not bought into that model.
Yeah.
So that's why it would never work for me. It wouldn't work for me at this stage. Now, if I had to adapt to it, yeah, I believe I can. If I set my mind to it, I can do it. However, I just, maybe this is jumping the gun, but I think the brokerage model makes more sense to be able to purchase leads.
Mm-hmm. And you just got to look at it from the level of entry and the level of and pace of getting paid, because you have to do a lot more. And I think Dylan, he mentioned that where he wasn't doing as high as he wanted, but his uplines were saying, "You're not putting enough, or you're not doing enough. You're not recruiting enough. You're not doing this enough." And sometimes, maybe it's the system, right?
Right.
You're doing too much for the system to get you one little, a payday, versus if we do a lot of our lead system, we can get a lot of our payday. Right. What other business models that you guys feel that can be more successful? How do we expand on the brokerage model? How do we get an agent thinking bigger into their business and creating their own business? Having their own shop in a sense.
Well, I think first of all, you need to take ownership and understand you are running a business. So, I mean, I think that's the first step. Now, the thing is, we've recently been experimenting with this a little bit, for a lot of people come into this wanting to sell, but they don't know how. I mean, not the skill sets of selling, because that part's, I think anyone can learn that part as long as you're willing to work. But I think a lot of people don't know how to manage their money. Their head's not wrapped around being able to purchase leads on a regular basis. Or they make sales, they don't go and invest it right back into it. They go and pay their bills and do whatever else first. So there's all that. I think so. If you can find people that can somehow work on some type of arrangement, like we're trying to do like a lead assist program with a few agents,
right?
That are responsive, that are accountable, that that are actually going to work. Because it's no point in us purchasing leads or helping them out with leads if they're not going to work anyway. It won't translate into anything,
right?
So I think you just got to find what works for you, and then find the people around you that can actually help you with that. And more importantly, what are you willing to do for that part?
Yeah, I think aside from the ownership, the entrepreneurial mindset of business owning versus, it's the roles, I would say, from the agent's perspective. What is in their belief of their role? Am I just an agent? Do I just sell insurance? Do I get paid? Or am I thinking of, okay, I'm going to have a shop. It's going to be the background agency. Okay, I'm thinking big. I'm going to expand. I'm going to scale. I'm going to be nationwide. Okay, where's the difference on that? That might stay, right?
Right. Yeah, you got to start with the end in mind. You got it, or which doesn't. It's never permanent, because like your perspective could change as you start doing it, right? Because you'll start to learn more. Like, oh, maybe that's not really what I want, or maybe I was thinking too small, and maybe I want to do a lot more now that I've got some experience. I know how to do this.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too, like how each individuals and each agencies, and not just in agencies, but in different businesses, like who do you cater to? Who is your market, right? So if you think even bigger, aside from buying leads, from all the leads that you're buying, start asking yourself a question: what type of clients am I selling? Who am I really getting an engagement with? Who am I having a connection, and it's an easier demographic for me to sell? Am I selling a lot of the older generation, the younger generation, people my age group, right? males, females. Okay, and kind of like narrow in and create your niche in a sense. Linda, you had something to say? I think you tried to go unmute. Oh, hold on.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I wanted to say something about new agents coming in. I think that it would be good to kind of give them a narrowed amount of what to invest in their business.
Okay.
If, let's say, somebody's coming in and they want to do it part-time and eventually go full-time, then maybe we can give them a number like, you need to have at least 5,000 to invest in your business startup. Because I think if they had that number, then they will feel better about opening up call tools, $99, all the different monthly fees for the phone numbers and virtuals and the leads and things like that. I think a lot of people think that once they finish paying for their licensing and things like that, they're ready to start making money, as though this is just a second stream of income that's going to automatically start streaming in. And that's not necessarily the case. And as an entrepreneur, normally it takes, a couple of years for a business to get strong, in my opinion. So I think people have a misguided view of what this industry is supposed to do, because it takes time to do all those things that you're saying. It takes time to be on the phone. So you got to have leads to do that. Right. In order to get leads and companies, you got to have money to back yourself. And so I think that most of the people coming in that don't do well is because they don't have the understanding of what a startup business is supposed to take, my opinion.
I see your point. And I don't disagree. I think there should be like a expectation as far as how much you should have. The only difference with that, I mean, the only thing I would say that it wouldn't quite work the same way, because everyone has a different work ethic. Everyone has a different grit level. So the thing is, you could bring in 10 people with $5,000, for example, and just be like, hey, this is minimum you need to have. And then some will make it work and some won't. Like some will find a way not to make it work because they're not going to consistently do all the same things. So being an entrepreneur, it's kind of that way. The thing is, it's no two are going to be exactly the same. People have different attitudes towards it. People have different work ethic levels. I mean, a lot of different variables that go into it. Now, the thing is, we know generally what works. So it's like that saying, like, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, we could be like, hey, we lay out every single step for you. But if one person just doesn't want to listen, or they want to do things differently, or they want to like change up all this different stuff, I mean, it's there's not like, hey, one guaranteed method. This is exactly how it goes. It's like, you got to want it for yourself. That's the most important thing, and you got to commit to it.
Yeah. But what I got out of hers, her input, and thank you for that, Linda. Linda's input is having that quick conversation first of game planning, business development game planning for that individual. Because I think from a W mindset to a entrepreneur mindset, she's coming from an entrepreneur mindset of, okay, there's cost into the business, there's future outlook of the business. Whereas if we just brought in an individual that just came from a W2 mindset, they're just telling me, tell me what to do. What do I need to do to work to get paid? And all they're looking for are the details of put this in, do this, and work and get paid. But there's no farther planning into it.
Right.
So did you have anything else?
Well, I feel that way with my son and my agents that are under me. I feel like they're watching me, but they don't realize that I'm an entrepreneur of 31 years. Right. So I already know what it's going to take. For them, I didn't tell them, I told them what the startups would be and all of that. But I'm like, okay, guys, I was kind of leading them like, let's get your first sale with your warm market so it can cover the cost of everything that you've done up until now. However, one of my agents, she sold one and it turns out it was like, oof. And it was her ex-husband, and she didn't get the amount of money she thought she was going to get. So I was like,
business.
Man. And so even with the CRM I purchased for her, I noticed that she wasn't making the calls like
Right.
she should have been making.
Yeah.
And I paid for that for her,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like you said, sometimes it's just the person needs to have more of the business mindset. And
Yes.
so with me, I want to definitely do better at letting them know this is something that I've done for years. So it's easy for me to come in and know what is going to take. And so I don't know. I'll say to new people, you just got to know that this is a business, and any startup business is going to take money. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience, consistency. With anything, you're going to fail if you're not consistent with it. You got to stay focused on the amount of time that you're going to pour into yourself, into your business. So with that,
Yeah, and these are good struggles to have, because it means, number one, means you care about your agents, learning and getting better. So I guess the question is, you should ask them, if they get frustrated not seeing results, make them track their activity. Be like, how many leads have you called? How many times have you called them? Do some role play. Like, let's hear how you sound on this. All these different things. So you can do that. But also, if they're not getting the results that they want, you can ask them, how did you think this was going to work? Like, what was your idea that you think would make this successful, and why do you think that? Right.
exactly. I like that. That's what I'm going to do with my agents. I talked to my son today, and I told him, I said, listen, I said, Jackson has moved up in rank. You were number one. Now Jackson is number one. You number two, and Kelly's number three. Y'all need in my life.
She runs a tight ship.
And I told him, listen, you guys have seen me work hard, 2 to 3 jobs your whole life. What makes you think that you are not supposed to work this hard? So I don't need to see you sitting down and then questioning why this, or mom, can you help me? You guys are at an age now that you need to be thinking about how you're going to help yourselves first, and then think about, what about me? I'm a senior citizen now. I continue to pour into you when I've already poured enough into you. You now have to go out there and get it. And I say that to other agents. Now we've pretty much laid out a plan for you. If there's a plan in place, then you have to take your hypothesis and put forth the effort that it's going to take and the creativity that it's going to take, because you are different from me. You're different from Albert. You're different from all the other agents. What are you going to do to make yourself stand out from the rest of the agents? And that's what you have to do. You have to be able to get people to trust that you know the product, you know that they need something. We also have to watch the advertisements not giving the accurate amounts, because a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, well, I was told that it'd be $29. I'm like, you're 80 something years old. There's nothing out there for that amount. Those are things that I find with advertising you're going to be faced with. So right away, I started telling them, okay, do you know that insurance is based on age? It's based on gender, it's based on health. And those factor into the $29 policy is going to be for someone that's totally healthy. Are you?
Right.
Yeah. So
thanks, Linda. So we're going to wrap it up a little bit early. Albert has a call. He's going to be invited to a team agency building call. So thank you guys. This is going to be saved. It's going to be on FFL Elite Clips on YouTube. So please follow us, like and subscribe. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you guys want to subscribe, click here. If you want to watch the next video, click here.